Imagine this. You've spent decades climbing a mountain, every step fueled by ambition, duty, and the quiet hope that one day it will all make sense. Success, titles, relationships, reputation, you carry them like trophies. And then, around midlife, you look up and realize you've been scaling the wrong peak. The air feels thinner, the view emptier. Something inside whispers, "This isn't me." Carl Jung once said, "The first half of life is devoted to forming the ego, the second half to going inward and finding the self." What if your first 40 years were not your true life at all, only the rehearsal? The mask. From the moment you were born, the world gave you a script. Parents, teachers, culture. They handed you expectations like costumes. Be polite, be successful, be strong, be agreeable. Slowly, you built a persona, a mask designed to survive in society. Jung called this the persona, a kind of psychological armor. It works for a while. You win approval. You gain status. You even convince yourself that the mask is who you are. But beneath it, the authentic self waits, patient and silent. And then one day the cracks appear. A job that once defined you feels hollow. Friendships fade into shallow rituals. You wake up, look in the mirror and see a performance staring back. That ache? It's not failure. It's your soul knocking. The midlife awakening. Jung believed the so-called midlife crisis is not a collapse. It is a calling. The first 40 years are about adaptation, fitting in, building the ego. But the second half, it's about individuation, becoming whole. Why midlife? Because by then the mask has done its job. You've built the house, but now the walls feel like a prison. Society tells you this stage is decline. But Jung flipped the script. It's transformation. Nietzsche warned that most people never live, they merely obey. Midlife is when that obedience cracks. You begin asking dangerous questions. Who am I really? Who was I before the world told me who to be? Descent into shadow. Here's where it gets brutal. The second journey requires a descent, not into success, but into your shadow. The shadow is everything you've buried: rage, grief, desire, shame, the parts of yourself too raw for the mask. Most people run from it. They numb with distractions. They chase youth, buy toys, pursue new lovers. But Jung warned, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will rule your life, and you will call it fate. Your shadow is not your enemy. It is the key to your wholeness. The pain you've avoided for decades. That is your teacher. The persona must crack so the true self can emerge. Individuation. Individuation is not self-improvement. It's not becoming better. It's becoming real. It means integrating the light and the dark, the persona and the shadow, the conscious and the unconscious. Think of it like this. The first half of life builds the mask. The second half is the burning of it. Seneca wrote, "Life is long if you know how to use it." Most of us don't know until the mask begins to suffocate us. This is why Jung saw the breakdown of midlife as sacred. It's not madness. It's meaning clawing its way back to the surface. It's the soul refusing to live in exile any longer. Living from essence. So what happens when you answer the call? When you step into the silence and face the self? You stop living for applause. You stop performing. You no longer confuse productivity with purpose. You move slower. You listen deeper. You live from essence, not from expectation. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, said, "Look within. Within is the fountain of good, and it will ever bubble up if you will ever dig." Jung would agree, the treasure is not out there. It's buried inside, beneath the rubble of adaptation. Individuation doesn't make life easier. It makes it real. Relationships change. Some people draw nearer, others fall away. The world calls it crisis, but you know it's initiation. So here's the brutal truth. The first 40 years were not wasted. They were preparation. They built the mask. They gave you the tools. But now the mask is finished. The second half of life is not decline, it's unveiling. It's the sacred rebellion against everything false. It's the journey from persona to self, from performance to truth. The only question is, will you answer the call? Because if you don't, the shadow will.